Okay, guys. So I am so excited to have Megan Thomas. I still get thrown off by calling you Megan Thomas because I was so used to calling you for how many years, Megan Runmick Thomas, as our guest speaker today, you guys. She is one of our up and coming rising leaders, like very quickly. I know she is like gunning for 3 stars, 5 star, like crushing it right now. Um, and it's been exciting to watch her transition because she'll tell her story and everything like that, but she's been through a lot of life, and she's been able to share that with her business, and now is a full-time Beachbody coach, which is really exciting, and I'm sure she'll talk about that as well. But Abby, I'm going to hand it over to you so that you can do the proper introduction for Megan. But just know, Megan, I adore you, and I'm so excited to hear from you.
Yay, I'm glad I'm here because I thought Zoom wasn't going to let me on. But guys, you're in for a treat tonight because I hope you all have had the pleasure of getting to know Megan from a distance on our team. Some of you even more up close and personal on retreats, which has been great too, or at Summit. But Megan and I have been friends since elementary school. We go way back in time. And, what's super cool about coaching, and I'm sure you all have people like this in your life too. If it wasn't for coaching, I don't know if Megan and I would have the relationship that we have today, because it not only, has connected us where she's moved states away from me, that we have, this other reason past friendship that we connect on a regular basis. And we also have grown together. Neither one of us are the people we were in high school or college anymore. And I don't think if one of us had grown and the other had not, that we would still be friends. We've both lost a lot of friends along the way that we've kind of grown apart from, because we've chosen to grow ourselves. And this business has given us, all such an amazing ability to grow into the people that we are today. And it's just, I think Meg even said it in a training the other day in one of her lives about how, we all are at this place in our businesses all the time where we're constantly growing our potential and growing who we are to step into that. And that is the story of Megan, and what she's going to share with us tonight is this potential that she's grown in herself that, often those of us that, we have coaches under us that we see have the potential and they don't yet see it in themselves, and they're not stepping into that light yet. And when they do, and the things start to click and they're making those little shifts that happen, it is the most beautiful thing to watch, because we're just celebrating even bigger from the sidelines, watching it all unfold. So Megan is in her last couple weeks of 2-star qualification, which is super exciting. This week will end her 4th week, I think, and then she'll have 2 more full weeks to go after that. But it's been an amazing thing watching Megan grow. Megan's been a coach literally like the whole time I've been a coach. And, we've been doing this side by side together. She has had ups and downs in her business, and I'm not going to take any parts of those stories to share for you. I'll let her share them. But just know that regardless of where you are right now, there's a line that can be drawn in the sand. And I'm super excited for Megan to share her story tonight. So Meg, take it away.
There we go. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, I don't like this view. Ooh, I like switch the view. Oh, there we go. Okay, can you hear me? Perfect. So thank you for the intro. It's such an honor to be speaking with you guys. I'll paint a little story of what my journey's been like. I have been a coach for 5 years, so in one regard, I look at it thinking I'm just now getting the 2-star qualification. What in the world have I been doing for 5 years? Because it's happened so quickly just from the fall, and just these couple little shifts that I'll be sharing with you guys. But when I look at my previous 4 years, 4.5 years, it was a tremendous amount of growth. And I look at where I was too, and I was happy with where I was as a coach. And I think that that's a big part of it too. Maybe I wasn't mentally or emotionally, or I wasn't ready to draw that line yet, and that was okay. That's probably been the biggest shift, was just me being ready to sacrifice and go all in and commit to this. So I have put a lot of time into coaching. So now looking back, thinking I could probably have done to use the same amount of time using these tools in this mindset instead while I was working 12, 14, 16 hours days at the hospital. But hindsight's 2020. But that's what I'm trying to teach my coaches now who are working full time, who really do only have that 30-minute, 1 hour pocket of time in their day, because that's the main meat and potatoes of what I do with my coaching business now. I have a lot of time now to pour into this, but that goes a lot into training and pouring into my coaches. But the meat and potatoes of actually moving my business forward doesn't take a lot more time than I was pouring into it when I was working as a full-time nurse. So hopefully you guys can start applying some of these things in your small pockets of day, or if you have a full day, whatever it is that you do, and see some tremendous growth in your business as I have since the fall. So when I started this 5 years ago, I kind of hit the ground running right out the gate, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just sharing my journey. I didn't even know that you could build a business with this until I hit Success Starter right out of the gate and went to Summit like 3 months after I became a coach, because I earned my free ticket. And I started seeing all the leaders and seeing that what was possible, and started kind of grasping that vision of my life. And I knew as a full-time nurse that I was already drained and I was exhausted, and I knew kind of the life that I would want in the future, but I had no idea how in the world that I would get there. You know, trying to bank on a 25-cent raise every year wasn't really going to get me the financial freedom that I wanted. And I knew that maybe someday I would want to be at home with my family and not working at the hospital on Christmas or away from my family for 12, 14 hours a day. And I just didn't know how to get there until coaching. This opportunity came into my life, and I fell more in love with it over the years. And that became my main passion instead of nursing. So with hitting Success Club every month and continuing with my own personal journey and just asking people to join me, I was able to hit Emerald and hit Diamond very quickly. And then for the next 4 years, I pretty much continued doing the same thing that I was doing as a brand new coach. I was coasting. And like I said, I was okay with that. But in doing those same things, for 4 years, my income didn't really grow. I kind of maxed out around, an extra grand was great. It created margin in my life as a single girl who was trying to pay off medical bills, and I was working full time at the hospital. I was able to travel back home and see my family after I moved to Florida. I was able to get out of debt from my medical bills. I was able to pay off my car 14 months earlier. I was able to travel and do these things that nursing wouldn't have allowed me to do, because I was kind of doing the paycheck to paycheck thing. So that was great. That was enough for me, until it wasn't. Because when I got married this past fall, my why really changed. Before it was, I want to get to the point where I can retire as a full-time nurse and do this full-time. Except my actions, I guess, wouldn't have supported that vision. But I don't know. I think maybe my why got a lot stronger. I fell in love with this amazing man, which was completely out of the blue. And in fact, when I had been Diamond for a very, very, very long time. And then life hit probably my darkest valley, and I had ended a 5-year relationship, which I will say coaching gave me the courage to do that and realize that I deserve more and that I shouldn't be settling. And even though it's scary to walk away from certain things, that life was not for me, and that I deserved better, that I could work towards better, but I had to take those steps forward. So personal development, community like this, learning that you deserve more, gave me the courage to walk away from that really jacked up relationship. And at the same time, 2 months later, I entered a pain rehab program because I was dependent on narcotics for about 5 years. And a diagnosis of back pain and spinal tumors consumed my everyday. I thought it was functional. Looking back, was not so functional. But I went into a 3-week pain program, and that was also one of the scariest things of my life, and it was really hard. But again, not knowing what was on the other side and if it was going to work, and taking away those comforts and so forth, coaching gave me the courage to do that. This community poured into me during rehab and after. Just to paint that little bit of story, I lost my emerald that summer in the midst, or I lost my diamond in the midst of that. I dropped to emerald. And I was like, well, of course, like when you're not pouring into something, even just a little bit, you're gonna lose that. So I lost that when I went to Summit that summer. And guys, I didn't gain it back for, I think, 14 months. I stayed right at emerald for 14 months. And I think, I see Jamie, I think I maybe hit Success Club 1 month out of that whole time. Like I still continued my journey, but I took a step back because I needed to pour into myself, and that's not for everyone, but like I continued with my challenge groups. Luckily I had an amazing team to rally around me and have people be like, hey, we're still here for you. Hey, we got you. You know, like this is more than health and fitness. And to be able to kind of come full circle a little over a year after like losing that rank and really pouring into myself during that time and having a new why and purpose of falling in love with this man, getting married, and I'm going to bring him home. He's given me the gift to be home and pour into this full time. I'm going to bring him home. And maybe that was like the kick in the pants that I needed, but I'm going to bring him home from his job, and it's not going to be right away, but that is what I'm working for. And I think that being intentional with growth was the biggest game change. And that's when those shifts started to take place. I needed to be intentional. I was coasting for so long. Obviously, nothing's going to change. So when you look at what you're doing now in your business and in your everyday, if you continue doing that, where are you going to be in 5 years? Is that going to be great because you're hustling right now and you're being consistent and you're showing up and so forth? Is that going to move you towards where you want to be? Or are you going to still be at the same place in 4 years from now, or even a year from now? I had to be very, very honest with that, because I know that if I don't show up, all that's doing is it takes time away from me and my husband, because I want him home with me. I know the consequences of me not showing up and being consistent. I've seen it for the last 4 years. I will be in the same place. So just think about that and change where your intentions are. And just with these like couple shifts that I've applied since October, I've seen new levels in my business that I've never seen before. So like Abby said, I am 4 weeks into 2-star qualifying, which is really exciting. And I have to like kind of keep pinching myself like, oh my goodness, it's really exciting. And it's certainly a team effort. And I'm going to share briefly with you guys kind of these simple principles that I'm sure you've heard over and over again. And I'm not going to repeat or stay too focused on, consistency and personal development and so forth. We hear that a lot, but I want to give you guys some very specific things that I started implementing, like in my invitations, in my structure in my morning and so forth, because that was also a big shift when I came from working full time to now owning this and being really structured and intentional with my time. So a lot of this stuff, whether you work full time or whether you work part time, you can still apply this. But the first one is obviously consistency, and not just with being consistent and showing up all the time, but also being realistic, because I reached out to Meg and Abby in October and I'm like, hey, I'm showing up, I'm being consistent, like here I was, we had gotten married, I was planning a wedding when I started doing this, we had gotten married, we traveled, like guys, we travel more than we're home, and that's a really amazing thing, but it also makes the consistency tough and developing that discipline. So talking to Meg and Abby and saying, hey, what's going on here? You know, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm showing up, and them consistently giving you the same answer of it will come, stay focused, keep your head down, and you'll see it. And as I didn't see it in a week, I didn't see it in a month, it was still kind of just developing those new habits and getting myself back out there. You know, it's like I took my foot off the gas pedal. I had to keep it there for a little bit longer. So a lot of what happened in the beginning of 2019, January and February, that growth that started happening, it was from October. You know, it wasn't because of what I was doing over Christmas holiday, like absolutely not. Those were conversations and coaches that I was pouring into back in the fall. And kind of having that realistic wake up call of like, okay, trust the process, like it's coming. I truly believe that, and I've seen that. So I know that in order for there not to be this like drought and this dry spell, I have to keep my foot in the pedal at all times. Even when we travel, we just got back from our honeymoon. Even I worked on our honeymoon, you know, I talked it over with my husband, of course, and he's in support of that. That's where the communication thing comes into play. But staying consistent in doing those non-negotiables that you set up for yourself, you're not going to find that those droughts so much is going to come into fruition. And then as far as the quality of work, in that consistency changed. So I would say that I was working, but I wasn't necessarily focusing on the business building activities. One of the biggest business building activities was recruiting. You know, now I recruit more coaches in 1 month than I did in a whole year. You know, another reason my income didn't grow in 4 years is because it was just challenge pack after challenge pack after challenge pack, a little bit of cycle bonuses, but like whether I hit SC 26 or SC 6, I felt like my income was it was pretty much the same. And it was exhausting. It was a lot. So making that simple shift to focusing more on recruiting and talking about coaching and inviting to coaching, talking to my challengers about coaching was definitely a huge shift. And I'll share with you guys exactly how I invite now and talk about coaching a little bit later. But then like my connections and adding are non-negotiable. I also realized that I needed to start talking to a lot more people. So I now connect with 20 new people every single day, nothing related to Beachbody whatsoever. And I start building those friendships. And then in a couple weeks, those are the people more than likely that I start inviting, as long as there's kind of like that open door there. And it makes it way more fun. It's fun to get to know these people along the way. And then the second thing that I started doing was I got involved. I got really involved in our team. National wake-up calls before were if I have time or what the topic is or whatever, but now it is absolutely, we should be learning and growing from people who are paving the way for us, being on calls like this. And guys, I think it is incredible that I have been able to focus on those non-negotiables, those basics of connecting, inviting, and adding to my network. And I don't have to do the coach mentorship group. I don't have to lead these sneak peeks on my own all the time. I don't have to do all of these things that before were kind of intimidating to me. Like, I haven't led a coach in a really long time. Like, what the heck am I going to do? Am I doing this right? And I would relate, it would be like a direct correlation to me where I would say, well, they're not doing well, it must be a reflection of me, which is absolutely not true. But that's how I viewed it. So having these tools in place have been incredible. I've been able to have something every single week. Like, there's no excuse to not invite to coaching because every week we have an event, a team event where how many times I've had people say, Meg, thanks so much for inviting me. I loved what Carrie said. I loved what Caitlin said. I loved what Megan said. I loved what Brittany shared. It just spoke to my heart. Like, what a gift to be able to not only tell them about your story, but share what else is going on in the team and see who they correlate with. And that may just be what they needed to hear. So lean into those opportunities. It kind of took the pressure off, and I was like, I'm just going to focus on business building things. They have things in place. We have amazing leaders on our team who are pouring into these events. Lean into them, take advantage of them. Not all teams have that. Like, that's been probably one of my favorite things. We've also started getting on like the hustle hours and so forth, and we started doing ones with our coaches in the morning. I don't have to wake up at 5 o'clock anymore, but we've been doing that all month long, just to lead our coaches, to lead the new coaches, to lead people who are building that Emerald and so forth, so we can be right there with them during their hustle hour if that's the only work that they're getting in that day. So that's been great in helping my newer coaches start to gain momentum, and also have a coach right there with them to ask questions to during the hustle hour. So take advantage of those, and also encourage your new coaches and anyone building the business under you to hop onto those. The other one is obviously personal development. And not only did I 10x my actions as I was moving forward, I had to 10x my personal development. And I didn't realize that until most recently. I was doing personal development and everything, but not like I needed to. Not like I needed to for the goals that I had in place and the amount of messages that I was sending out, because when I had was going into 2-star qualification, my actions were just like, were 3 times the amount that I was doing in the fall, because I knew that I was pushing for this goal. But then like messages started to slow down a little bit, not my efforts, but we can't control what other people do. So when there was a little bit of quiet time in my inbox and there wasn't really the response or the yeses yet, although they're coming later in the month, the beginning of the month is when my own personal doubt started coming in. Oh my gosh, how are we going to do this for 6 more weeks? You know, how are you going to get 3-star and 5-star and all that stuff? And those negative, just like that anxiety and worry and, oh my goodness, this isn't even a fun process right now if I can't enjoy it. Instead, I was worried and doubting my own capability and what I've been doing. I was like, something needs to change, like drastically. So every single morning I switched up my system, and before entering my inbox, before giving my first line and way of thinking into the hands of complete strangers on Facebook who could very easily bash me or say no or put me down, I needed to guard my heart, and I needed to ask God to march around my heart before I opened up any inbox message. I started doing, I do 100 Days to Brave, which thanks to Meg was a gift on the retreat, and I'm loving it. So doing that every single morning, doing my morning devotions. I have the 5-minute journal for gratitude and so forth. Even if you don't have that journal, just refocusing to the amazing, beautiful things in your life, even if it's not related to coaching. Like, focus on that. Focus on the good things, those blessings, and lead your business and your day with a grateful heart, because it completely changed not just my business hours, but my day. So doing that has been really helpful. Same with like my affirmations and so forth. And that's been newer, but in the slower times during the month when those yeses aren't just like popping, that belief or that self-doubt is a lot quieter. You know, it's coming. Trust the process. Keep showing up, Meg, and leading with your heart and pouring into people, and it's gonna come. And that's been definitely a huge shift. Guard your heart, girls. Like, do the personal development, and that is definitely one thing. Like, I feel like the bigger my goals get, the more personal development that I need. And when I talk about mentoring, when I was talking about like those hustle hours, that's another thing that shifted as well. I talk in threads with my coaches. What's going on? This is what I'm doing. I didn't really have much. I didn't do that stuff before. So being in that communication with them and just sharing what I'm doing every day, giving them examples of stuff, and even kind of building or like pulling down into my downline, when I'm in a challenge group and I have my coaches in there too, and I see their challengers crushing it, I reach out to their challengers and I cheer them on. And then the three of us talk about coaching together. I think that you'd be great. You know, you plant those seeds, and I've seen it come full circle where 2 months ago, a girl was like, no, there's no way I could do what you do. And she's not even my personally sponsored coach. And here we are, she's getting ready to enroll as a coach underneath one of my personally sponsored coaches. So helping my coaches walk through that, like offering all the time, whether they're a discount coach or they have a friend that's interested or whatnot, we get in a three-way conversation on Facebook or Instagram. If their friend is open to it, I walk them through the conversation, and after a while, they don't need me in the conversation anymore. So that's been huge. It gives them confidence. It links me to them even more so, and it makes me better. It makes me better too. Like kind of getting back to those simple basics. So that's been really huge. And on Thursdays, we share our Success Club trackers. I know that it's not fair of me to have them share their Success Club tracker if I don't do the same. So we just have that really simple check-in. You share it, whether it's done or it's not done, I still want to see that piece of paper. And then, guys, just to kind of wrap this up, I want to be specific about the way that I started inviting for my recruiting, because I don't think I've solely invited just to a challenge group since the fall. My invitation includes my group or interested in coaching. So I give them both options in my invitation, and I can post them in the team page so that you see how I word it. But it's kind of vague, but if they've been following my stories and following my posts, again, these aren't cold invites that I send out, then they should be able to have a pretty good vibe of both things that I do. But one, it puts it on the table right off the bat. And I'm often surprised when they say, tell me about both. When I'm like, I probably wouldn't have even asked them about coaching until they were like gonna enroll. But it gives me an opportunity then to put them into the like coach sneak peeks that we have now. I'm like, I would have just been telling them about the challenge group. Here's the perfect opportunity to expose them to everything, like their health and fitness journey, plus the opportunity to pay it forward. So that's been huge. It's just the rewording and my focus. A lot of my posts now talk about like the coaching opportunity. My stories talk about the coaching opportunity. I share about the coaching opportunity, like just kind of in my everyday, casually and formally. So having that shift and just being really intentional with what you're sharing. Yes, I still share my day-to-day with my workouts and my nutrition and my Shakeology, but my biggest focus right now, especially leading up to qualification and in qualification, is coaching. And I had asked Meg about this on the retreat because I was like, oh my gosh, should I be invited to a nutrition group? Should I invite into a challenge group and so forth? And she encouraged me to stay in this route, especially as I'm trying to build and find those people who want to run with me. In order to do that, that's where I'm focusing my efforts right now. And along with it, that doesn't fit everyone's needs or their desires. So that's when they join me as challengers. But so it's still an all-inclusive thing. It's just when I lead with coaching, I find my builders. I find people who want a little bit more with this opportunity. And then in my other invitation, especially as I started qualification, and I realized I need to carry this through. I've had a good response with it, but more so, I just know that I need to be more specific. I need to be bold with my invitations and not be an all-inclusive thing as far as coaching, because I'm looking for pretty specific girls. And my invitation specifically that had started going out in March and April was about income. And that was really scary to me. But I knew that I needed builders. I also knew how much $150 helped me. I knew that paid for my monthly acupuncture. I knew that it helped me get out of debt. I knew that it paid for my back pain medication. I knew that whatever it was, fill in the blank, was huge for me. It was huge. It gave me that little bit of margin. And I know that I can't be alone in that. $150 changes the game for people. Helping 3 people in their journey, $150 can change the way that their family shops or lives or drops their shoulders and relaxes that month because they know they have it in their account. So I got really bold in sending out my invitation, and I'll share this with you guys too, but I said that I was looking for somebody with that. I wanted to share with them and help them in their journey and get healthier, but also earn $150 in the next 4 weeks. So this isn't 6 months down the road. I want to help you, one, recoup your investment, and then continue every single month with that $150 plus some. And I didn't get a huge response, and that's okay, but I got a couple runners. And that's what I was looking for, specifically during this qualification, but also in building my rank and moving forward, that I needed runners, so I needed to be very specific. Also with my posts, specific. I'm looking for everyone. Everyone is welcome. But I'm also looking specifically for a couple people with X, Y, and Z who are ready to roll. And every once in a while, that person comes through. And I'm okay with that. Right now, I'm okay with that. I know that it's going to take a while to find those people. But if I don't even put it out there, no one's coming. No one's going to answer me. And what I've found is that with my social media specifically, I don't have a huge following. I don't have a ton of people responding. I don't have a ton of interaction, and I'm building that, and I know that that takes time. So it's the private messages. It's the behind the scenes. It's the very intentional, specific message that I'm sending someone and who I'm looking for that has gotten me the response that it's gotten me. You know, last month, I think between my husband, his mom, and my business, it was like Success Club 22. We enrolled 9 coaches. That was that was more than the whole like previous year and a half. You know, like, you can do it. You just have to set new non-negotiables. And before you know it, 8 coaches is the new goal for me. Of course I can do it. I know I can do it. And if it's less than that, great. If it's more than that, great too. But like, the mindset shifts. The mindset shifts in your personal development, in your intentions, and knowing where you want to be 5 years from now or a year from now. And just to close and leave you guys with a couple things, I want you to do one thing, and if you've already listened to this, then listen to it again. But Josh Coates, his episode number 16 of Rockstar Recruiting, there's 2 parts to it, but it's amazing. He gives you such a great new perspective, at least it was for me, on how you view the people who run with you, the people who are in that stadium with you, your team, and so forth, and how to recruit and how to build. So I definitely would recommend that podcast and listen to it soon. That's episode 16, Rockstar Recruiter. And then the second thing is I encourage you guys, I challenge you to write out who you want to run with. Who's your person? Like, who's your avatar? And then do a post about it and keep doing posts about it. Put it in your stories and talk about who you're looking for very specifically. And I know that we look at it as being like an all-inclusive thing. It is. The door is always open for everyone. But you're looking for a couple people to build with, to grow with, to make your dreams shine. And that's not for everyone, and that's okay too. But we have to be specific, or we're just going to get people who are just kind of like there for the discount, who want to be closer to you and get kind of VIP access. And we don't want that. I mean, we want them, but we want to build too. So we have to be specific. So those are the simple shifts, like I said, that I could have done a long time ago in my business, and unfortunately I didn't. But it's what I've been doing since October. And it's been really fun. It's been a failing forward, a patient, consistent journey so far. But I'm really excited for what's ahead. And next stop is 5-star. I hope that was helpful. If you guys have questions, let me know. And like I said, I'll post those couple specific invitations I send out, see if it resonates with you. Maybe that'll be helpful.
Well, great job, Meg. I had to say a couple things, just that I'm super proud of you. Number one, but just to encourage everybody here of the simple things. Like, I think it's so easy to brush them under a rug because we like want somebody to get on here and tell us about like the secret sauce that no one has yet said before, that's going to magically change our business. But remember the things that Megan just shared with you and that we've heard, I feel like, an echo every single Tuesday, which is the point. Like, the point is not to provide everybody with like brand new thoughts every week. The point is to say the same thing over and over again, because that's what coaching is. That's what coaching is with our challengers. That's what coaching is with our coaches. That's what coaching is with ourselves, is the same message over and over and over again. And, what she shared of the shifts that she's made, like, if you didn't write down like specific things, I encourage you to like take a minute even after this call, or while we're recapping or answering questions, to jot things down and ask yourself what you're going to change. Like, number one, like the first thing Megan said when she started this, I hope you caught, because I believe it was the most important thing, in that she decided that she was done settling for where she was at. Like she said, maybe you feel the same way Meg did for years in her business, where she was happy with that $1,000 a month, and she should have been. Like, it was doing amazing things for her life, and she was happy with the community and the challengers and, all the things it was doing for her, the growth that she'd experienced. But we all have to hit that point where we decide like we want more. And if you haven't decided you want more, then you shouldn't be surprised that you're in the same place that you have been for X amount of time. But the beauty of this business, and I know Meg put it in the comments of the chat, I saw it too, is that at any point in time, we have the ability to say, like, today's my day. Like, just like Megan even shared that, she's been in this business for 5 years, but like she feels like she really started in October. Like, I have quite a few dates like that in my business. And I know almost all of us probably do, where, it was the date that we decided that, no, I want to go for the next thing. I want to level up. I want more. And then the second piece of that is like believing that you can achieve it, and that's where the 10Xing the personal development comes into play, that you all are capable of this, like every single one of you. And then that piece of consistency, I hope you wrote it down. And, there were comments after comments in the chat too, of like, it's not about doing it once and letting the crickets scare us away. And it's not about, inviting for a week or 2 weeks or a month of that SC tracker and saying like, but I didn't hit Success Club, or I didn't get where I wanted to be. We had to ask ourselves, like, how long have we been consistent? And we have to rebuild that credibility. Even though Megan had been a coach for 5 years, she fell off the radar for a little bit. And, she shared that she's recruited more coaches in 1 month than she had in like a year and a half before. All of that 60 to 90 day lag in the business, it can take a toll on us. And that's where so many of us get caught in this cycle of gas on, gas off, gas on, gas off. And we feel like we're never getting to our goals, and we're not, because we didn't keep the gas on when we weren't getting the results. And that is seriously the secret sauce right there, in my opinion, is keeping the gas on even when you're not seeing the results. So guys, draw that line in the sand today and decide where you want to be, and know that like your why has to be bigger. Like Megan shared for her, like a new layer of life happened where like it wasn't just about her anymore. Most of us know this, right? We're not willing to do it for ourselves. We'll let ourselves down like a million times. We'll cancel on our own workouts. We'll cancel on our own business time. We'll set our own goals aside, but you have to want something bigger. And when you really hone in on what that why is that makes you get out of bed, that's when we can get to the next level in our business and our next goals. And I know Megan shared a little bit about her morning routine too. And I have to say that like, that's a huge shift that I've seen in Megan too, is that focused, intentional time, not just the time that we say we're working our business, but, even these morning hustle hours that we've been doing that like, yeah, I don't have to wake up at that time anymore, but I do know that from 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning, I get more done than I get done at any other point during the day. So making that sacrifice, even when you don't have to, I know when I was in Jacksonville a couple weeks ago after our retreat, and that's when we started these hustle hours, and we look at our notebooks after an hour from 5:30 to 6:30, we're like, I've spent a whole day at home and not had 30 invites written down on my page before. And that's what you can get done in an hour. So don't allow yourself to think that Megan is in 2-star qualification because she started like doing this full time. That's not the thing that did it. It was the focused, intentional use of small pockets of time and that consistency, even when she didn't see the results. And, keeping the foot on the gas all the time, and the 10xing personal development. And that's why I love this business, hands down, is that those are all things that all of us can do. Like, it didn't take, some special talent that you don't have. It's a skill and it's a discipline, and we can all do it. So does anybody have questions for Megan? Anything? Silence. I know, right? It's like, da-na-na-na. My sister's a counselor, and she always tells me that you have to breathe and count to at least 10 slowly before you cut people off, because people are thinking.
I guess I have a question. I've been talking to some of my girls in our group chat too about this, and you mentioned something about like being bold, being brave, and talking to the people that you're scared about. Like, what wording do you use that like kind of helps you, or what do you do that helps you to build up that confidence to message them? Because I kind of have a list of people that I know that I need to invite to my sneak peek this week, but I'm scared and I'm avoiding it, but I know I just need to do it.
That's a great question. And it's funny you say that, because when I see somebody, whether I'm like, oh shoot, like I was not very nice to her in college, like she probably still hates it. Like, I mean, that was a specific thing. Like, it still had our Facebook messages from 2005. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't they erase this? Like, this is not the person that I am now. It's awful, like true honesty, guys. But like, I was like, that is not the person that I am now. Maybe she's not the person that she was either. But I couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over it. If anything, I knew that I needed to reach out to her just to kind of, as scary as it was, I was like, I just need to like say hi to this girl and like apologize. That's my own thing. But like, there's other people, whether I say she's too successful, or that girl's too pretty, or she has way too big of a following, she does not care what I am doing. Like, she's already got it all figured out. Her last 9 pictures are perfect, and it's so easy to compare and look at other people and think they have it all together. But it's social media, and like, that's not true. So one, I tell myself, if I'm scared to message this person, that's exactly the reason that I need to message this person. And what is the worst case scenario? And I kind of walk myself down through that. Like, what if she does say no? All right, cool. Everyone else says no too. Or not, that's not bad. There's a lot of other people that say no too. But like, it kind of takes the pressure off of you. You leave it out there for people. And it is my job to present the opportunity. It is my job to share it with people. And so I kind of I talk myself off the like fear ledge of like, one, why wouldn't this girl need it? If she doesn't, that's okay. If she's super mean about it, like, social media is really cool. You can just hit a button that says block. It's like this magical poof. I never so all joking aside, I kind of I talk myself through the scenario of what's the worst case scenario here. And I've also found that in the moments that I'm most courageous and most bold, I get the best response. I've mended friendships or broken friendships from the past of like being able to come back together. It's like, why was I so scared to send that out? Or realizing that it would really help that person. Or I just made a new friend. Like, I think sometimes when I take the pressure off as well of like, it's not just about coaching sometimes, or them saying yes to a coaching opportunity, like it's also just an opportunity to leave someone better, encourage someone, and have a new conversation. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I hope that's helpful.
Anybody else?
I have a question. So, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So I know that you left your full-time nursing role and your home full-time. I have Phoenix starting kindergarten next year, and so that's going to open me to an additional 3 hours every single day. And I just wonder, because it looks like you're doing amazing with the time off, but I have heard that sometimes it's counterintuitive and you become less productive with the more time you have. So can you tell us like your perfect setup, like your day? Do you front load a lot of your work in the morning so then you have time with your husband later in the day? Or like, what does your routine look like? Because I know it differs across the board.
Yeah, that's a great question. It was a big adjustment, like a huge adjustment. And I thought it was going to be like easy peasy. This is great. I got all the time in the world. But also like when I left my job, I was still planning my wedding. I was moving and there was a lot of stuff going on. And honestly, probably about 8 weeks after I went full-time as a coach, I hit a really hard emotional wall. I missed people. I was alone here at this house with like our dog at the time, but like all the excitement died down and here I am working my business. But I got in a funk of just like, it was not great, but like I wasn't really prepared for that. I love doing this job. So, and everything was so great. Why am I all of a sudden so sad or lonely? Or I didn't know what it was. So I had to develop a system with my husband, like a plan. Like he's okay, this is the problem. Okay, this is what we need to do. Let's put things into motion. And I love him for that. And we made a plan moving forward, which became my new routine. And part of that was going out and working at a coffee shop. And part of it was getting my work done in the morning so I could go have lunch with a friend, doing things that I enjoy in the afternoon. But my perfect day now is, which the month of May is kind of off because we're up at 5 o'clock in the morning working, but like usually I would get up and like have my coffee and do my devotions, and now having this whole setup in place for like really preparing my heart and in my mind. And I get those non-negotiables that honestly you could do in 30 minutes or an hour. I get my power hour done first thing. And the first thing that I do is I add to my Facebook network because I think it's the easiest, like I don't have to think about that. I like to ease myself into my work. But I do my invitations first because sometimes I put them off. So I set my, whatever your non-negotiable is, I say, this is what I'm going to do first. And then the invites that I want to do later, because I have more time, then I'll come back and do more invites because there's more margin in my day now. But I at least do my non-negotiables. And then honestly, like after an hour and a half, I take a break because I am not somebody who can like I'm not as productive sitting down for like hours. So I'll like wash the dishes and then I'll go back to work and like do something else, or you listen to the national wake up call or whatever it is. But my goal is to be done with work by noon. Like, and then in the afternoon, that's when I'll set up like calls or other trainings that I want to do, or really building my social media. Like Instagram is a beast for me to tackle. So I know that like that takes a lot of time for me to keep connecting and like 531ing people. Like I'll spend an hour on that. But I don't want that to take into my business building, like those direct business activities. So I do that all in the morning. I don't work in the evening. My day is done when my husband comes home because I miss him and I want to be with him when he comes home. I don't want to be on my phone at all. So unless we have a call, which we discuss, I don't work at night. And whenever you have those 3 hours, I'm happy to chat with you. But I don't have kids. Like I don't have my dog here. Like I don't really have any it like sounds really sad, but like I don't have a lot of responsibilities during the day in this season of life. And I'm sure a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, good for you. But like I could waste a ton of time. I have the time. If I could spend 9 hours going over like my daily to-dos. You just have to develop that discipline. And if I set my goal to be done by noon, then I hustle to get everything done. If I say I just need it to be done by the time my husband comes home, it'll take me until the time my husband comes home. So set up that schedule. And I worked with Meg and Abby for a while, just kind of like really seeing where I was spending my time and kind of pinpoint so that I wasn't wasting time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I think once you have the routine, now I look forward to it. It was kind of stressful before trying to figure out what to do and what I'll need to get done. But once you have the basics figured out, you can figure out the bigger things that come along. But if we can't figure out those basics and those like little everyday things, then when a big goal comes or a really hard season, we're not going to be able to stick with our goals. Like I stuck with all of this when we were on our honeymoon, you know, like, cause it was now part of my routine.
Hey Meg, what was the book you said 100 ways to, or 100 days to what was it?
100 Days to Brave. It's a daily devotional.
Okay, yeah.
And it's so pretty too. It's like all my favorite colors. So it's like the best book. But I had seen people posting about this a lot. And then when Meg had it in her goodie bag, I was like, I need that.
That would be a good one to do when we have the 100 workouts.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good book.
Yeah, because I haven't done a lot of personal development and I know that's huge and I know that I need it personally for my personal life, but then also for the business. So, and just not knowing, right? Obviously that's a devotional book. So does personal development always have to be business building? Can you do like what you personally know that you need in your own life plus, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I do both, or all of the above, because I used to be like, oh, I did my personal development for the day and that's it. But it had nothing to do with leadership. It had nothing to do with my faith. It was just like a encouragement, go you book. So I realized that I need something that's great. I need something that challenges me, and I need something for my spiritual growth. So I've started incorporating all of those. In the 100 Days to Brave, like it only takes a few minutes for the daily devotion. Like, and it gives you a little to do at the end too, of like how to apply that brave, how to like apply that little lesson. So that's kind of cool. So that's just like a really good add-on, but I would probably do some type of like business growth as well.
Okay. And then just like being, because I don't want to buy every book out there, right, on a budget. And I know obviously there's the library. So, and I'm sure I could throw it out to you guys, but like, how do you find a really good one? Like I've tried Googling them. I've tried Googling, you know, podcasts and stuff. And I know that there was a post somewhere I saw the other day. I don't remember, Meg. I think you put it in there where people listed like what they're doing. You know, do you have a easy?
Yeah. I think it depends what you're looking for. Like, honestly, if you say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with right now, if you're struggling with confidence, if you're struggling with self-doubt, if you're struggling with leading, like whatever it is, I think that you start there and then you can branch out. But there's a million books out there. So find what's specific to you and like what you need to grow right now. I hop around to books depending on what my soul needs, what my mind, my crazy mind needs sometimes.
Anybody else? One more question, going once, going twice.
sold. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing, Megan. I can see from everybody's comments and the interaction that everybody had that this was super valuable. And I think that it just hits on a different level for everybody. I know it does for me whenever we hear from somebody that we're close with, right? Like it's not just somebody out there random that you don't know that did these things and created success, but it's somebody that you have a personal connection with. And you know, it's the same thing we always say, but if she can do it, you can do it too. So thanks for sharing with us, Meg. And we value you on the team and your leadership so much. So good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.